Gateway Greening strives to educate St. Louisans through gardening and urban agriculture. And today our guests are Gateway Greening Communications Manager Erin Wood and Mallory Brown from AmeriCorps VISTA. Welcome, Mallory and Erin. So glad you could join us. So you guys are, well, here we are in the heat of the summer. Peak time for gardening, I guess, or not, but definitely for vegetable growth. So tell us about what you're doing. You've gardens all over St. Louis. That's what I'm imagining right now since 1984.
That's right. So we've been an organization that's been active here in the St. Louis city since 1984, and a few years ago we actually expanded out into the county as well. So we support a network of over 220 community gardens, but we also support more than 60 school gardens throughout the city and county, and we also run a 2.5-acre urban farm in the middle of downtown St. Louis.
Really?
We do. It's a lot of fun.
Okay, and pretty much done through volunteers, right?
Yeah, so in the last year we had about 4,000 volunteers, unique individuals who came out, and they did more than 20,000 hours throughout the St. Louis area. Because of them, we were able to grow more than 3.5 tons of food all across the network last year, which all stayed locally.
Okay, so what happens to the food? How is it distributed, I guess?
Well, that actually depends on the organization or the location. So for instance, we have a demonstration garden on Bell Avenue, not too far from Fox Theater. That specific location, all of the food that is harvested there goes home with the volunteers that day, and anything left over goes to the St. Patrick Center's local food pantry. What we've done is we've created a system where we help to develop a community garden, and then we take a completely hands-off approach. We step back and the garden is then self-sustaining and self-efficient, which means they also get to determine what happens to the produce they grow there. A lot of times it's going home to families that really need the food, or it's being given away to neighbors. We actually have seen a lot of gardens who've decided that they're going to grow a set amount of food each year for a local food pantry. So it's a really fantastic way of connecting different people within the local communities.
Yeah, that's really neat. Mallory, how is AmeriCorps involved with this?
Yeah, so AmeriCorps provides opportunities to work in different community organizations in order to alleviate poverty. And so since Gateway Greening's main focus is community development through urban agriculture and gardening, AmeriCorps supports that by providing funding for staff members.
Okay, so you are with AmeriCorps.
Yes.
And are you kind of on loan to Gateway Greening, or is this your full-time position?
Full-time position. So I work full-time at Gateway Greening doing communications and fundraising.
Okay, very good. All right, so if you guys want to, when you go out to the communities and you develop these community gardens, how does a community reach out to you to say, we want to develop a garden here? How does that process work?
Sure. So what ends up happening is a lot of times communities have heard about us through their neighbors, through their friends, or maybe they saw one of our Facebook posts, and they will reach out and say, hey, you know, there's this vacant land next to us and it's not very attractive and it's overgrown and full of weeds and trash. What can we do about it? And what we do is we help talk you through the process of getting legal access to that land. St. Louis actually has a garden lease program where you can lease LRA land $5 for 5 years, which is a lot of how a lot of these gardens are getting started. And we also help you define what are your resources in the community, who are your local politicians, is there someone there who might be able to help you get access to something. By the time you've gone through the process, you've got a full functioning working garden, you know who your members are, who your supporters are, and you're ready to get started.
So how long does it typically take a community to go from that first phone call to actually planting seeds? Because I can imagine it's a process.
It is a process, and it depends on how long or how much the garden wants to move forward on it. So I think the shortest turnaround time we've seen is 3 months, just because this is a community garden and we want the community to be the ones to develop it, and that does involve a lot of talking going on. But we also have what we call a rolling program, so if you need to stretch it out to a year and a half, that's not unheard of either.
Right, yeah, it takes a while. Okay, very good. We're going to take a quick break and we're going to come back and talk more about Gateway Greening and some great exciting events coming up. So stay with us at STL Live. We'll have more with Gateway Greening after this break.